This show has been rated F for freaky. Content rated by Redbone Productions.
This is Lee and Tiffany Lukoski, and Don and Candy Kiske, two of the most dedicated, hardcore, fanatical hunting duos sharing one passion: to manage and harvest mature trophy whitetails.
Holy buckets!
The secrets to their success? Plant food plots, monitor trail cameras, shed hunt, and most importantly, let immature bucks walk. Now they've searched the nation and found your average Joes with real jobs and real families, all sharing the same passion. In this episode, we show you the true meaning of average Joes and go into the field with landscaping architect Mr. Bob Whitlock and graphic designer and animator Mr. Jeremy Putnam. Hunting the big buck state of Iowa, the freak bucks make an appearance. But you'll see by the footage, these boys aren't filming fanatics. They're killers with a capital K. This is Thompson Center Arms Whitetail Freaks.
Welcome to Whitetail Freaks.
Freaks.
We just smoked a monster!
Whitetail Freaks.
Freaks.
Whitetail Freaks.
On this episode of Whitetail Freaks, we focus our attention on the freaks themselves and show you that these guys are really average Joes with real jobs and real families, and go into detail of how these guys kill big whitetails year after year. With that said, let's get started.
On this episode of Whitetail Freaks, the production crew heads into southern Iowa to hunt with average Joes Mr. Bob Whitlock and Jeremy Putnam. We use the term average Joes because that's exactly what the freaks on this show are. They work normal jobs, live a normal life, and they share the same passion: to hunt and manage trophy whitetails. Now I know what you're thinking. You're saying to yourself, I too am your average Joe. I work my keister off, and I'm lucky if I harvest a Popin' young deer, or even a deer at all. The guys on this show are killing bruisers every year. There's got to be more to it. There are two thoughts here and can be as simple as this. You decide you want a Big Mac and a Coke, what do? You make it happen. In a roundabout way, that's exactly what the freaks do. Mr. Ken Haas and Corey Hackett, this Iowa State Trooper and volunteer fireman risk all to make a living. Their secrets? They knock on doors and gain permission to hunt. Mr. Randy Birdsong and Jason Bosaw. This University of Illinois student and Illinois resident redneck farmer live a typical life, but they manage their hunting hotspots by planting food plots, and most importantly, they let immature bucks walk until they reach maturity. Mr. Brady Cowden and Nate Gollner, a medical sales rep and beauty supply salesman.
Sell different styling aids, shampoos, conditioners.
These two walking giants lease the land they hunt.
Look at this big unicorn sticking up in his hook off the front.
Mr. Lee and Tiffany Lukoski. Lee decided one day to just up and quit his profession as a chemical engineer and moved the family to Iowa to live where the giants live.
What a deer, though.
That is phenomenal.
And the same goes for Mr. Don and Candy Kiske. These Missouri natives transplanted the family in Iowa as well and became row crop farmers because obviously where the food is where the deer want to be.
Look at that deer.
Here's the point. Hunting big bucks is about doing the homework. First, to kill big bucks, you have to hunt where they live. From there, study the record books. Find your hunting location. Once there, manage the land. Monitor the herd. Be selective and let those smaller bucks walk, meaning it might be years before you harvest a buck.
Pretty little 2-year-old.
Follow those points and success, sooner or later, will come knocking on your door. These are the secrets. Now it's up to you to do the work.
We got him, baby.
And this is where this story begins. On deck, we have your average Joes, Mr. Bob Whitlock and Jeremy Putnam. By profession, Smilin' Bob is a landscape architect. Jeremy, a graphic design illustrator and animator. These two know that Iowa is known as the land of giants. That's right, you know the next step, brother. Put in for the draw and buy a tag. We're off to Iowa, baby, when Whitetail Freaks continues. This segment of Whitetail Freaks is brought to you by Carry Light Hunting Decoys.
Icon, a new breed of bolt action.
Single cam technology.
The Arrow Riser.
Short axle-to-axle bows.
Lightweight bows.
The perimeter weighted cam. Speed without the kick.
Less recoil.
Less vibration.
Less noise.
The harmonic damper system. Parallel limb design.
With this history of innovation, it's no wonder Matthews is #1.
The integral grip.
The roller guard. String suppressor.
Sphere lock system.
Slim limb.
What will they think of next?
Stay tuned.
Matthews, catch us if you can.
When you choose a camo pattern, you look for two things. The camo pattern itself, and equally important is the colors. When we designed Realtree AP, we used a lot of light to mid-tone colors in the pattern, and additional greens and APG make it ideal for spring and early fall hunt. And both will work in a tree stand as well as on the ground floor. Realtree AP and APG simply works everywhere. So when you choose a camo pattern, make sure it has all the right colors to match all types of terrain.
Whitetail Freaks is brought to you by Bill Jordan's Realtree, family, friends, and the outdoors. Matthews, catch us if you can. Wildlife Research, America's top brand. Cuddyback, long battery life, fast trigger speed.
Well, Jason Miller, I hate to say this, but I have a big owie on my face because my bow got destrung when a fish hit it and I got hurt. And the thing is, I can't cover it up with makeup, so I kind of wish you could put like a disclaimer on the show because I have a bruise on my forehead and a big gouge right here, but hopefully it won't see it too much. But I know it doesn't look very good and I can't cover it up anymore and it hurts. All right. First up on the chopping block, New Jersey resident Mr. Bob Whitlock. Landscaper by day, whitetail hunter by passion. Now Bob traveled a long way to hunt down in Iowa with good buddy Jeremy Putnam. The month is November, the rut is kicking, so let's get in the woods and pick up the story.
Filming a hunt, just in general, pretty tough. People don't realize exactly what goes into it. I mean, everybody knows that's tried to film hunts. It adds a completely different aspect to hunting when you try to put a second guy with all that equipment and all the extra moving and all that kind of stuff. But it's a lot of fun, I gotta say. I have a lot of fun trying to do it. It's pretty rewarding when it works out in the end, that's for sure.
The month is November, and average Joe Bob Whitlock is hunting a ridgetop in the big buck capital of Iowa. The rut is at its peak, and the bucks are on the move. With several encounters with shooter bucks during the past several days, Bob knows to stay on guard. A rutting buck can appear at any moment.
Well,
little slow here. It's about 10 to 9. And every time we've been rattling and calling, something's been coming in. We haven't seen any mature ones, but it's bound to happen. We're right in the peak of things. We've seen 8 or 9 different bucks this morning chasing, so we'll see what happens.
Did you see that? The distortion in the footage? It's not a good sign.
And you know, the worst time you can have technical issues, obviously, is in the heat of the moment when a big buck is walking in. A broadcast camera has so many dials and so many settings that you have to keep up with constantly. You know, every 5 minutes we check all our settings, make sure they're right, so that in the heat of the moment, when that buck walks within 20 yards or 40 yards, you can be completely silent and completely still. You can let the hunter do his thing and the cameraman does his, and you get it the very first time. That's the problem with this, is it's not a studio. You're in the woods, you have one shot at it, and you have to make it right. So when there's camera problems, it almost breaks our hearts because we did everything right, but our camera malfunctioned.
Okay, as you've seen throughout the series, the freaks on the show go out and film their own hunts. As you can see on these cameras, there's a lot to learn, and to get good at using them, it takes a lot of practice. And as hunters, you also know that the weather can be very unpredictable. There's wind, there's rain, there's dust, there's moisture, and just the sheer beating that these cameras take, going up and down stands every single day, can cause them to malfunction. And that's just what happened to Bob. If you watch his hunt, you'll see lines of distortion throughout the whole thing. Unfortunately, you never know what's happening until the hunt's over and you're back home watching the footage. But nonetheless, you get the gist of the story, so let's get back in the stand.
Bet. Talk about last day, my brother.
Oh, that's a big deal.
Me and Putnam just got it done. And he's down right there.
When we return, we pick up the story as your average Joe Bob Whitlock hunts southern Iowa. See what happens next when Whitetail Freaks continues. This segment of Whitetail Freaks is brought to you by Lancaster Archery Supply.
Here's what Cuddyback customers are saying. Don't miss that buck of a lifetime. Get a Cuddyback.
Keith, are you kidding? What are you doing here?
I'm spreading the word. You're using Special Golden Estrus, right? The freshest, most premium scent you can use.
Yes, Keith. It's Special Golden Estrus.
Are you sure, Haley? Special Golden Estrus has a date right on it. And each bottle has its own serial number, so you know it's fresh. Are you sure you've got the right one?
Yes, Keith. It's Special Golden Estrus. Now can I get back to my hunt?
Okay, I gotta go. I'm spreading the word. Golden Estrus in a new gel, and Trophy Leaf are also available.
Power, precision, performance. Meet the Striker from G5, a new breed of premium replaceable blade broadheads. With 100% stainless steel design, 100% spin testing, ultra-sharp Lutz blades, and the exclusive Annex blade locking system, the Striker has no competition. It's in a class by itself, just like you. G5, designed to hunt.
Okay, before we went to break, Mr. Bob Whitlock was hunting in southern Iowa with his good friend, Mr. Jeremy Putnam. Well, it turns out that these boys were having camera troubles. Now remember, you won't find George Lucas filming here. These boys are new to the video camera, and as you watch the hunt, you will see distortion lines throughout the footage. Nonetheless, the hunt is as real as it gets. Let's get back in the field and pick up the story.
The buck comes in like he's on a string. Comes in, gives me a 20-yard shot, and runs off to the east 40 yards and just piles up. So, you know, I'm sitting there in the tree stand, elated, basically, that this happens in 10 seconds. I mean, the deer, it couldn't have been more than 30 seconds from the time we saw the deer, from the time he went down.
That was quick. That's what the rut can do for you, man.
We call him Smiling Bob for a reason, because no matter what, he's smiling, you know. I would have been a little upset and bummed out, you know. It's not something that we could have prevented. So when he saw the footage, I was more bummed out than him, because he waited 8 years to get this thing on film and to kill a buck on film. He's always been a whitetail freak. He just can't line up cameramen, or, you know, he's a busy man. So when he saw the footage, all he did was smile.
Well, here's my buck. And this is what November 10th can do for you. We've been rattling and calling all morning, and just about every time we've rattled and called, we've gotten a look at something. Jeremy's had this farm for, I think, 3 years now, and it's just starting to come to life. In another 2 years, there's a lot of up-and-comers, so hopefully we'll be seeing a lot more of these.
The history of this buck goes, a found shed antler was picked up on this farm in 2006. Snap trail photos found this buck back again during the 07 season. All that was left was tree stand time. The key factor here, Bob and Jeremy found the hunting spot, leased the land, did their homework, and the rest is history. Way to go, bro.
He's cool, man. The more I hold him, the cooler he gets.
Next, we stay in the big buck capital of Iowa and head to the stomping grounds of Mr. Jeremy Putnam. By day, this graphic designer is a computer geek, but come hunting season, this boy's ready to get back in the field.
Bonaparte, Iowa. With the amount of time it took to say Bonaparte, you just went through the town and missed it. But this smallness is what makes this town great. Located on the banks of the Des Moines River, this small town is home to Mr. Jeremy Putnam.
Hey y'all, it's Jeremy Putnam, Whitetail Freak. Welcome to my crib. We're gonna go around the outside before it gets too dark, so you better hurry up, let's go. Dual satellite hookup, you know, nothing but the best. This is one of the very few satellite internet in the state of Iowa. Nothing but the best, but I'm telling you. And now it's time to check out my rides. Let's go. The Dixon ZTR, 2006 Dodge Dakota, 4-wheel drive, you know, 16-inch rims, drum brakes, you know, it's stock, that's all we need. I'm gonna go show you out my toy over here. This is the production truck, a 1983 Toyota SX7. First and foremost, we got the putty cup, specially designed for the putty. You can't go nowhere without the yoke play. This is the diet of every deer hunter.
As you can see, Jeremy lives a life of luxury, MTV Cribs style. This Iowa Pimp Master is a computer geek graphic designer and animator by profession. But don't kid yourself, the geek stops there. Practically growing antlers himself, this boy is all about one thing. When we return, average Joe freak Jeremy Putnam hunts the frozen state of Iowa. The food sources are the key. Just wait until you see what comes out when Whitetail Freaks continues. This segment of Whitetail Freaks is brought to you by Bad Boy Buggies. They'll never hear you coming.
Some people ask why. Why wake up at 4 a.m. to get dirty, brave the cold morning air, and hike for miles, just to be here in this moment. Sportsman's Warehouse, America's premier outfitter. You get it. So do we.
The big performance of the G5 Expert Rest speaks for itself, but you won't hear it. We've designed our ultra-quiet drop-away rest for silent performance. Simple setup and precision tuning for shot-after-shot reliability. Maximum performance, minimal noise. It's the legendary engineering you expect from G5. The Expert series of drop-away rests from G5. Designed to hunt.
We bow hunt the real world.
And we want a rangefinder that tells us where to put the pin, no matter what the shot angle.
The new Archer's Choice laser rangefinder with ID technology compensates for various shooting angles up to plus or minus 89 degrees.
It's fast, accurate, simple, and built for bow hunters.
And it's only from Nikon, the trusted name in optics.
Whitetail Freaks is brought to you by Thompson Center Arms, America's master gunmaker. G5, designed to hunt. Nikon, the trusted name in optics. Sportsman's Warehouse, America's premier outfitter. This segment of Whitetail Freaks is brought to you by TrailPod, the trail camera mounting solution.
Okay, Jeremy Putnam is hunting the cold month of January and the deer are hitting our food plots hard. He's heading out to a blind overlooking a cut cornfield, and behind the camera, Mr. Lee Lakoski.
Now he's 150 yards away. I need this buck 100 or less. That's what our goal is. That's where we want to shoot him. I got to let him walk. Good news is he's walking right into us. Bad news is he's walking very, very slow, and the sun is going down. It's a 4-point side because he's got a big split G2, huge split in it, and then he's got a G3 and a big beam, real heavy. I mean, he's heavy. He's like an 8-year-old deer, and no brow tine. But his other horn, it's like a 20-inch dagger that goes straight back, and he's got a really big bladed 7-inch brow tine. This body size, this is an Iowa deer that has the body of a Canadian deer. Canadian deer are way bigger. This deer is every bit of between 300 and 325 pounds live weight, and that is a huge buck.
He's been out there for at least 20 minutes. He stood facing us forever. He finally turned. We had 30 deer at least out there, and there was some pretty good bucks. One that we'd never seen before with a split G2. He had split G2s, really heavy 8-point. Awesome night, man. That's what late season does for you, and that's the deer we're after right there.
All right, Putty, let's see the pretty buck.
We got Tiffalicious with us, so she's gonna go take a look with us.
You need my light?
Before we drag him out. No, you get, go ahead.
I get to go first?
Yep. I'd say ladies first, but.
Yeah. That is awesome! Look at that thing! Good heavens, look at the size of his head!
Look at the body. How close was he when you had him?
You know what? He was almost about 60 yards, and I tell you what, I was going to shoot him that morning. I really was. I'm like, I'll shoot him. I'm like, that's a big old mature buck, and holy buckets, I would have shot him in a heartbeat. But you know what? As soon as I said, I'll shoot him, and I went to grab my bow, he was like, so,
yeah, he stood out there forever.
That's awesome. Congratulations, man.
Thank you. At this point, score doesn't matter. Never did for this buck. I don't know what he'd score. He can't be much over 100, and maybe not even 100 inches. He doesn't score that great, but he is a 9-year-old deer. That is a big enough score for me, is the age. That's all that matters, and not to mention the compliments I'm going to get on him when he's on my wall next to all my other deer. That, I guarantee you, I get more compliments about him than any other buck I got.
Whitetail Freaks is brought to you by ScentLock's Hit List. Jeremy Putnam and Bob Whitlock have done their homework, and the trail picks don't lie. Their hit list includes stickers, bent beam, clean 10, and narrow 9. The search for these bucks begins now.
With all the history we have with that buck, it was only a matter of time before he slipped up and dropped his guard. When the weather gets cold like that, all the deer are going to be looking for food, and that cornfield happened to be right in his backyard. That right there is a mature buck without a doubt. And with that funky rack, he's the perfect whitetail freak. Congratulations, Jeremy. Great shot, great deer.
What a show. Mr. Bob Whitlock may have had a few camera problems, but that's just par for the course when you take these video cameras into the field to film hunts. Elements of nature and technology sometimes just don't mix. Nonetheless, thankfully the footage was usable, and Bob, congratulations on knocking down an awesome Iowa whitetail.
One thing has been proven today, and the truth is plain and simple. The freaks within are just average Joes. Their passion for whitetail hunting drives them to find opportunities, to make the dreams happen. It takes on the form of gaining permission, locating land in a new state, putting in hard work. The opportunities are there for everyone, but it takes drive, motivation, and determination to reach the goal. Tell yourself one thing: I can do it, and it will happen. This is Whitetail Freaks.
I'm kind of excited about my rack. I finally grew a little kicker here, and who knows, maybe someday I'll be caught up to Ken Haas.